Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Erika Kirk, Geographical Convergence between Romania and New York. Part 1. We are looking at the geographic convergence of their activities in Romania as well as New York between 2006 and 2011, a period when Romania was under intense international scrutiny for human trafficking. While their stated objectives were radically different, they operated within a shared infrastructure in a very specific window of time. 1. The geographic anchor Constanta. Constanta, a port city notorious as a transit point for both legitimate trade and human trafficking, during the 2006 to 2011 period, was the primary point of interest for these operations. Erika Kirk, of the Romanian Angels organization, based her philanthropic work at the Antonio Placement Center in Constanta. Her suggested mission was to support orphans through a faith-based sponsorship model. The Scouting Network, modeling scouts for both the Trump and Epstein/Brunel networks, focus on coastal cities like Constanta because of the high density of young, impoverished people seeking Western opportunities. The trafficking reality during this era, the United States State Department Trafficking in Persons had consistently flagged Constanta as a major origin and transit point for the illegal movement of women and children to the United States and Western Europe. 2. The operational overlap 2006 to 2011. The connection between these figures is best understood as a shared supply chain for individuals moving from Romania to New York. Donald Trump, the end goal, Trump Model Management, and the Miss Universe organization which he owned were the legitimate destinations. They provided the legal H-1B visas and high-profile platforms that scouts used as the dream to entice recruits from cities like Constanta. Jean-Luc Brunel, the procurer, while acting as Epstein's operative, ran MC2 Model Management. He specialized in the same Eastern European talent pool as Trump's agencies, but his operation has been documented in court filings as a front for recruiting women into Epstein's sexual abuse network. Jeffrey Epstein, the financier, funded the agencies like MC2 that operated in Romania. Recent unsealed files, from December of 2025, confirm foundation transfers of over €30,000 from Epstein to a woman in Iosalaci, Romania, proving his financial reach in the country was active during this specific time frame. Erika Kirk, the bridge, occupied the humanitarian side of this same geographic area. While there is no evidence she was part of the recruitment network, she participated in the Trump-owned pageant system, winning Miss Arizona USA in 2012 immediately after her years in Romania, creating a direct professional link between her time in Constanta and the Trump organization. 3. Summary of the crossover. Romanian-based Constanta orphanages, Iosalaci, Bucharest, Constanta, Bucharest pageant scouting, faith-based philanthropy, illicit recruitment and financing, commercial modeling and pageantry. A common time period of between 2006 and 2011. The New York City connection, Miss USA contestant 2012, high society peer and financier, pageant and agency owner. Why this matters now. In late 2025, public interest in this specific triangle spiked following the assassination of Erika Kirk's husband, Charlie Kirk. This tragedy coincided with the unsealing of the Epstein files, which for the first time provided concrete financial evidence of Epstein's transactions in Romania. While Erika Kirk had operated a public humanitarian mission and Trump/Epstein operated in commercial/illicit networks, the connection lies in the fact that all three relied on the same Romanian cities and the same New York infrastructure to facilitate the movement of people, adults and children alike, between 2006 and 2011. Part 2. Technically, there is no specific minimum or maximum age limit defined by United States Citizenship and Immigration Services USCIS for the H-1B3 visa. However, while the immigration statutes are silent on age, practical and legal barriers create a functional age range. The crossover we've been discussing becomes particularly relevant when you look at how these legal loopholes were navigated in the mid-2000s. 1. The minimum age barrier, labor laws. While United States Citizenship and Immigration Services doesn't have a minimum age, the United States Department of Labor DOL and individual state laws like those in New York does. Child labor laws. To work as a model in New York, minors under 18 years old must obtain a child performer permit. Agencies like Trump Model Management or MC2 would have had to comply with strict regulations regarding education, working hours, and trust accounts or Coogan accounts for models under 18. The loophole in the 2006 to 2011 era was that enforcement of these permits for foreign models was historically inconsistent. This allowed agencies to bring in models as young as 14 or 15 years old from places like Romania, provided they could argue the model was already a prominent figure in their home country to satisfy the distinguished merit requirement. 2. The distinguished merit paradox. The H-1B3 requires the applicant to be a model of prominence. For young models, it is difficult for a 12 or 13-year-old to prove national or international recognition unless they are already a child star. Consequently, the sweet spot for recruitment in the Eastern European pipeline was often ages 15 to 22. For older models, there is no upper age limit, but because the fashion industry is notoriously youth-centric, it is rare to see H-1B3 applications for models over 30 unless they are established supermodels who would typically move to the more prestigious O-1 visa anyway. The model into visa pipeline and threats of immediate deportation. Between 2006 and 2011, visas were the primary mechanism for moving young women from Eastern Europe, including Romania, to New York. Scouts in cities like Constanta would find talent and promise them a Trump-level or Paris-level career, but as investigative reports and lawsuits have documented, agencies sometimes use the threat of visa revocation to keep models compliant. As documented in the 2025 Epstein files and historical Trump model management cases, models often lived in company housing and were entirely dependent on the agency for their food, shelter, and legal right to stay in the country. 3. Summary of the Romania to New York pipeline from 2006 to 2011. Age factor and H-1B3 legal reality. Minimum age, often 14 to 16 years old, utilizing state child performer permits. Maximum age, rarely over 25 for new recruits from Eastern Europe. Prominence was used as a filter to select the most marketable youth. Being agency-tied had created a total reliance on the agency for housing and legal status. Part 3. Final synthesis of the Romania connection. This is why the Constanta and orphanage context is so scrutinized in the 2025 unsealed documents. Investigators are looking at whether the humanitarian efforts targeting orphans and vulnerable youth and the modeling efforts targeting young prominent talent were two sides of the same coin, a system designed to identify and transport young people from Romania to the United States during their most vulnerable years. While Erika Kirk had operated in the philanthropic space, and while Trump and Epstein were located in the same commercial illicit space, they all functioned in a region where the legal floor for age was low and the potential for agency control via the H-1B3 visa was very high. Simply put, Constanta, Romania, served as a critical geographic crossroads where Erika Kirk's public humanitarian work with orphans, Jean-Luc Brunel's modeling recruitment for Jeffrey Epstein, and the talent scouting pipeline for Donald Trump's pageant/modeling organizations all operated simultaneously within a specific and very narrow region notorious for human trafficking that is well known for the exploitation of vulnerable youth, all within the same general time period. Could this all be just a great coincidence? Or is this why Trump was so incredibly adamant about keeping the Epstein files a great secret?